Here we go.
Hey Sam.
Hey, Tiff, how are you?
Well, thanks very much. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well. Good to see you again. We missed you last week.
Yeah, well, I heard you had a good time, and I heard you got that letter from the sheep that I
Yeah.
left out for you.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting.
Yeah, well, you didn't know sheep could write, but
No,
I
no.
like to teach you new things. Hey, listen, enough about last week. What are we up to this week, Sam?
Well, Tiff, we are going to be talking about quite a serious subject. We want to talk about the giant of racism.
Yeah, it is very, very serious subject and a very important subject. So we're going to be looking at a Bible story, telling a Bible story,
Whoa,
and
whoa, 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 wait. Hey,
what? What?
have something a little bit more special than a Bible story today.
What do you mean?
We don't just have a Bible story, but we have Bible characters that are coming along.
They're coming along, Sam.
Yeah. I managed to invite them and they accepted and they're going to be here very shortly, not too soon. They're going to be right here with us. And we're going to be interviewing these two Bible characters.
Oh, okay. Well, look,
Brilliant.
I just need to go and get myself something before we can start the interview. You will make sure they keep to 2 meter distancing, won't you?
I will make sure that they respect.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to leave you with the children for a bit while I go and grab something, and I'll be back in just a sec. Okay.
Okay, let's wait. While Tiff is gone, I've got something exciting for you. We are going to interview a giant. That's right, a giant. We're going to be interviewing Goliath right now, guys. If you know the story of David and Goliath, we're going to talk to Goliath about how he was defeated by little David. Now, I hope he doesn't get angry at me because he's quite big and I don't want him crushing the studio.
We're doing this. Are we doing this?
Goliath,
Yeah.
almighty Goliath.
Yeah.
Welcome to modern day Britain.
Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Getting used to it. It's a bit cold.
Good. That's a bit cold. Yes, it is. It's great to see you. I, it's funny. Is that the battle going on behind you right there that we're going to speak about?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, kind of, but I've downloaded a virtual background.
All right. Okay. Oh, you've done it in the background. All right. Let's move on from that. Great. So, Goliath, welcome. We know that you're from an amazing Bible story of David and Goliath, and you are the giant. Yes, I know you do not like the name David, but can I ask you, so Goliath, how big are you? Tell us.
Yeah, I'm really big, Sam. I'm actually 9 feet and 6 inches tall. So that's like kind of getting the tallest basketball player that you know and putting someone from the nursery on top of them. That's how tall I am.
That's pretty tall, Goliath.
Yeah, I'm not just tall, Sam. I'm really strong. I've got muscles like bungalows on every part of my body, and I could lift up a whole cow probably. No problem. Yeah.
Goliath, I'm sure we'd all love to see that happen.
Yeah, no, you probably would, Sam. And I'm not just tall and I'm not just strong. I'm actually really brave. I've been in like hundreds of battles right at the front.
Amazing.
Never run away from a battle. Never run away from a fight. Yeah, I'm pretty much the fighting package.
Goliath, it's real honor to be speaking to such a great warrior as yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Don't mess, Sam, because that is who I am.
No, I definitely won't, and much respect to you. So tell us, on the day of the battlefield, on the day of the battle, on the battlefield, when you faced the army of Israel.
Yeah.
Tell us what you were doing. What was going on?
Okay, so we were lined up on one hill, they were lined up on another hill, standard ancient battle procedure for the Middle East. I was leading from the front, as I always do, and I would step forward from the battle line at the same time every day. I like to do it around 11 o'clock just before having a coffee and a bourbon biscuit. And I'd step forward from my line, and I'd shout across to the Israelites, and I'd shout to them, "Hey, puny guys, just send, I could beat all of you, but just send one of your guys to fight with me and no one else needs to get involved. Be brave, step up, send someone over, have a fight, let's get this thing sorted. You're weak, you're pathetic, I'm not even going to worth mentioning your names, you're so shriveling and sniveling and nonsensy. Your king's a great big jelly. No one in your land is any good. Your family smell, and your sheep are scrawny. So basically standard stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then I sort of just was going to go in and have my milky coffee, my bourbon biscuit.
Right. Okay. Great. I mean, so you definitely were facing off the army of Israel and
Yeah.
making them feel pretty small.
But yeah, feel tiny. I mean, small is too big a word for how I was making them feel. Pathetic.
Oh, Goliath, you truly are a mighty warrior. And tell
Yeah,
me,
I am a mighty warrior.
yes.
Yeah.
So tell me, Goliath, did anyone face you from the army of Israel?
Well, for
Did
days,
anyone?
no one. No one. Not for days. They looked like ants on an ice block, just shaky and tiny. No one faced me for days and days and days. Their king didn't even come out of his tent most days. It was pathetic. It was
Interesting.
laughable, Sam.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was laughable. So at no point did anyone come out to face.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, no, they towards the end. I mean, at the before the defeat, yeah, a guy.
oh, before the defeat.
Yeah,
Tell us about that, Goliath.
a man came forwards. He was. It wasn't a man. He was what do you call it when someone's not quite, yeah, a man. He was,
Um, a boy.
yeah, it was a boy. Yeah, a boy came forwards.
Okay.
He wasn't enormous. He wasn't ginormous. He
Okay.
wasn't a giant. He wasn't 9'6".
Uh-huh.
What do you call it when someone's not really very tall?
Short.
Yeah, he was quite short.
Okay.
He wasn't strong like me,
Uh-huh.
no one's strong like me. He didn't have the
No.
muscles. He basically looked quite, what's that word when someone doesn't really look that strong?
Weak.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
So he's a boy. He's short and he's weak, and he faces you.
Yes, he came out and faced me. And he said I'd been mouthing off against his God and his people, and he was going to show me.
Okay. And tell us what happened.
Well, I laughed, obviously, straight into his face.
Of course you did, mighty Goliath.
Yeah, I laughed, and I stood there with my spear and just waited for this weak little boy, to make his move.
Okay. I get the feeling you don't want to finish this story.
Well, okay, all right. I mean, you're putting me through it. Basically, I don't really know what happened. The next thing I know, I've got a splitting headache, and I'm down on my back. I can see stars, and all the army of Israel are running straight past me. Every one of my own Philistine armies running away. Everyone's screaming, pandemonium. We lose the battle. Everyone goes home.
Goliath, from what you're saying, are you trying to tell us that that little short, weak boy called David defeated the great Goliath?
Yeah, that is what happened. I don't know how he did it.
Right.
I wasn't expecting it. I thought we had them licked.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bad day. It was a bad day at the office.
I can imagine it was. And to tell us what happened after your armies got chased away.
Well, that's it. The armies got chased away. Israel got their freedom. We never got to mock them again.
Incredible.
I
Goliath,
think I'm done here. To be honest, Sam, I think I'm done here.
Okay.
I'd say thank you, but I'm not really grateful. I'm feeling quite angry now. I'm gonna go. I get anger management training, and I think I'm just gonna go and have some time with my specialist. Is that good with you?
Yeah. Please do, Goliath.
Heck.
All right. Interesting chat with the mighty Goliath. I'm pretty glad he didn't take out his anger on me, or else I would have been dead.
Hey, Sam.
I'm gonna head off. Tiff.
Yeah.
You missed what happened here.
Oh, you're kidding.
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, you're kidding.
But for
Oh,
now,
no,
I think
I haven't missed my part of the interview, have you? Because I was meant, you know, I did know this was happening. I was going to be interviewing
yes, you are. You are. So what? You know, you are. I just need to take a little break, Tiff.
Was it a bit intimidating? Were you okay?
I'm just slightly shaken. But
All right, take a moment. Take a moment. I'll talk to the children for a bit. You take a moment.
I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, guys, sorry that I missed that interview with Goliath, but you know, I know that he was massive. He was scary. He was well armed. He had every bit of power on his side, and he every day mocked and belittled and made the people of Israel feel really, really small. And he had all the power and they had none of the power. And that is never a good situation. That is a situation of injustice when someone's got all the power. And so, I think I'm in the presence of David Shepherd Boy.
Hey, how are you?
Hi,
Good
look.
to be here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, just want to say, big fan. I've read a lot of your songs and your poems.
I love writing songs.
Yeah.
Do you like them?
I love your songs. So,
yes.
But we actually, do you know what? Sneaky, but we actually, with the children, we looked at one of your big hits, Psalm 23, The Lord's My Shepherd. We had a look at that last week.
That was a pretty popular one. In my time, that was one of my favourite.
Still big, David. I've got to say, still a hit in our time. So, listen.
What can I say?
Let me bring us back to perhaps, you know, your first big moment. The moment when you defeated the giant Goliath. Can you go back in your mind to that day?
Okay.
How did the day begin for you? What were you doing at the start of that day?
Oh, it was such a crazy day. I started off waking up in my bed as I do, and I go out to look after the sheep. You know, I'm a shepherd, I look after sheep. And so I'm looking after sheep, and my dad tells me, David, take some food to your brothers on the battlefield. I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to step on the battlefield? I'm so small. But then I say, you know what? I'm going to listen to my dad. So I take the food and I go and give the food to my brothers, and they're on the battlefield, and I see them there, and I'm like, hey bros, and they come over and they're a bit annoyed I'm there, but then I give them the food, and there I am.
I just want to check out with you. So at this point, you're not a soldier for a living?
Soldier? No, soldier? I've never held a sword in my life, Tiff. At that point, I've never even held a spear. I had no idea about fighting.
So what was your day job?
I was a shepherd. I used to look after just a couple of sheep in the back for my dad. No one really took notice of me, but that's where I wrote a lot of my lovely songs.
Okay, so you're a shepherd boy songster, and yes. You go with your lunch and your stuff for your brothers. And
yeah,
when you got there, did you see Goliath, like, you know, doing his mocking thing when you got there?
I saw that big giant. I was like, oh my goodness, can human beings actually be that big? He was so massive. Like he covered the sun. He was so big. And I looked at him, I thought, oh my goodness, he's huge. But what really frustrated me is he was pointing his finger and laughing at all of the people of Israel, laughing at my brothers, laughing at all the people I loved. And he was taking the mick and mocking them and thinking he was all this big man. And I was so angry. I couldn't believe that everyone was so scared of this big doofus.
Wow. So you weren't afraid of him?
Afraid? I mean, no, I wasn't afraid. I mean, you know,
Was he as big as everyone says?
I mean, look, I was a little bit afraid.
Okay.
A little bit. Okay, but I didn't show anyone I was afraid. No. I knew that this guy had to go down. He had to go down.
Look, I'm not surprised that you were afraid. He was a huge guy, and at the time you were just a boy, just a small boy. I mean, why did you even think that you could stand up to him?
Let me tell you something, Tiff. Remember I told you I looked after sheep? Remember? Yeah. Good. So when I used to look after the sheep, there used to be these big creature animals that used to come and try and take the sheep and eat them. Animals like lions, like bears, like wolves. And when they came, I used to look up to heaven and say, God, give me the strength. And he gave me the strength to defeat the bear, to defeat the lion, and to crush the wolf. And I thought
Wow.
to myself, you know what? If God could give me the strength to do all that, he's going to give me the strength to beat down this big dummy.
So you're a shepherd boy, you get to the battlefield, you see this giant, he's mocking your people.
Yeah.
You felt something had to be done and you felt you were the guy to do it?
Oh, without a doubt. I knew it was my time to shine. And
All right.
I went to
And
the
then
king.
tell us what happened. Do you know do you get given a gun or something? I mean, sorry, you may not know about guns. They're very big in our time.
Gun? No. I wasn't given any gun. No. No
So
gun.
what you got, a sword?
I went to the king and I said to him, King, let me face the dude. The king looks at me, laughs. Could you believe the nerve? He laughs. And he laughs at me and he says, I don't think you can do it. I tell him, hold on. I think I can. So he tries giving me a sword, his armor, everything's too heavy. I cannot move. I tell him, get this stuff off me. And I think for a minute, I say, okay, what can I use to defeat this big giant? And I thought to myself, what do I know more than anything else? Well, I love to use my shepherd gear. And one of the tools I have is an amazing slingshot that I love to use when animals come and try to defeat my sheep. So I picked up the slingshot and that was the weapon I chose. And as I stepped up to Goliath, he towered over me. He was so massive. And you know what? He giggled at first. He laughed. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going to happen here. But I said a quick prayer. Now, prayer is powerful. Our God hears our voice. So I said, Lord, put him in my hands. And he did. And I pulled back the sling and ding dong, he was down.
He was down. So you just used your normal tool, your normal weapon that you use every day with the sheep, and you downed the giant. And then what happened?
Well, I ran over there. I stepped on top of him, put my arms up, was like, way, took him down. And then all of the army came up behind me, chased the rest of those Philistines out, and they were off the battlefield in a moment. And our people were free from the bullies.
Oh,
and
David,
we just cheered, rejoiced, and were so happy. And then Goliath got up, was a bit confused, and then walked off. I haven't seen him since.
Oh well, David, it's an amazing story. I'm so grateful for your time, and I know you've got other people who need to interview you, who are also looking at this now. So I know I have to let you go, but thanks, and just if we can get a selfie later, maybe that would be fantastic.
You know what? For £100, I'll give you a selfie.
Okay, and Sam's going to be really sad that he's missed this, but yeah, just big fan.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh gosh, I can't believe that Sam's missed that brilliant interview with David. What a dude. He spoke really fast. That's so funny. Two very different characters then. Goliath, the massive giant, and David, the boy, the shepherd boy, who went out bravely to face it. Sam!
Hi. Tiff,
you missed David. You missed David.
I missed
from
who?
the Bible. David from the Bible.
Oh, I told him to let me know when he arrived.
No, totally amazing. But he's a bit greedy. He said he needed £100 for a selfie, but I don't know if I can do that. But
the fame kind of ggets to his head sometimes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, you spoke to Goliath. I spoke to David. It's an incredible story. What do we want our children and our families to understand from what we've talked about today?
Well, Tiff, we've started off with a really quite serious and important subject that we wanted to direct this all to, which was defeating the giant of racism. And racism is a very real thing in our world. And it can be almost very much like the giant Goliath. It mocks, it takes the mick out of, it laughs at people who feel oppressed by racism, people who feel intimidated by racism.
Yeah, that's right. And we've really seen in the last few weeks the worst that racism can do, which is actually take away life, but also the best of people coming together and standing up and being David really, and saying enough is enough and we don't want any more of this. And I like that in the story of David and Goliath, David used what he already knew how to use. He used his shepherd's sling in order to defeat Goliath. And I wondered if you could just say something to the children about how we might use the things we already know how to use to help us defeat the giant of racism.
Well, I'd love for you to think about the school playground and the people around you in school. You see, we already have the stones, the tools that we need to defeat racism. We respect each other in school. We treat each other with dignity in school. We love one another in school, no matter what color, no matter what background. And we already know the things that we need to do to come against or stop the giant of racism. Love, dignity, respect are all things that we know and we can carry on as we grow up in life, as we encounter all different types of people in our future. And actually,
we can also use our ears and our mouths. So we can use our ears for good listening, for hearing people's stories and hearing where they've come from and what they need in order to be respected and cared for. And we can use our mouths. We can speak out if we have not felt that we've been fairly treated, and we can speak out if we feel that someone around us has not been fairly treated. And they're part of the toolkit that we have to defeat the giant of racism.
Amazing. And you know, there are just some wonderful teachings that we as Christians look to, teachings that Jesus himself has spoken. Things like love your neighbor as yourself. And another one that I really love is treat one another as you would like to be treated. Those are some of the things we can look to when we think about defeating the giant of racism.
So we're going to bring this to an end today by praying a very simple prayer. And if you'd like to pray, then join in with us. And if you don't want to, perhaps you'll just listen to this prayer. It's so simple and so short. But we're really sorry as grown-ups that we're still having to talk about racism to you, our children, because it's our fault that we haven't finished it off in our generation. But we hope that with the tools that you have already in your hand, the love, the respect, listening and talking, between us, we can be like David and defeat the Goliath of racism. So let's just take a moment to pray if we'd like to. Dear God, give us the strength that we need to defeat the giant of racism in our lives. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thanks, Sam. It's always good to see you. We'll be back with another assembly next week. Is that right?
Excited for that.
Cool. God bless everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye.